Well, it's time for another tutorial, and in this particular tutorial, this is just going to be a really quick tutorial covering the process of making containments for mold walls, or how to make basic mold walls. This is one of those things that there's no wrong answer to this question. I get a lot of phone calls about using MDF or plywood and all kinds of things, clay walls and whatnot. And so I wanted to cover a few different approaches for that process. Now, to begin with, we're going to be using some sculptures that we did at my house the other night. We had a little sculpting party where everybody sculpted a MothMan, because why not? So I've got a few different little MothMen to build walls around. So I'm going to show three methods for this. And again, the main thing I want you to think about is if you're new to making molds, especially poured block molds, the main thing you have to consider is the watertight nature of it. Obviously, you're going to be pouring silicone into these, but the main thing we have to focus on is making a containment area for the silicone that keeps it from spilling out and creating an expensive puddle. And again, this is where there's a lot of out-of-the-box thinking is really helpful, because if you just relegate your thoughts to things like pre-made buckets and things like that, you could easily wind up wasting a lot of money on silicone that could otherwise be spared. So let's get right to it. Okay, so here's the three main ways I like to make mold walls. And I'm trying to keep this fairly simple for this video, just those of you starting out with simple block molds and that sort of thing. A cut down mixing cup or bucket is great for symmetrical shapes. The only downside is with this kind of thing, if it's not a fairly even shape in there, you can wind up with a lot of unused space. So overall, this little MothMan sculpture fits this pretty well. But ideally, anytime we're doing this, we want a minimal amount of unused space, so we don't have a lot of silicone going to waste. So that's one approach. The second approach is foam core board. And this is just a strip of foam core that I cut off. And you'll see I've scored it at a right angle here. And what that does is allows me to break that and bend it into a more exact shape. Since this mold doesn't have to be strapped together later on, it could be a really funky shape. It could be a trapezoid. It can follow the exact contours of the sculpture. But the main thing here is this allows us to minimize how much material we have to use for the mold. Because again, if we come way out here, that whole area winds up being wasted silicone, wasted product. So this allows us to conform a mold wall right around the shape and minimize wasted material. Now, similar to that is our last option, which is Protolina clay. Now, Protolina clay, in addition to coming in those little bars that look like little sticks of butter, it also comes in this chunk that looks like a slab of high explosive material, which it is not. Now, this is excellent for small molds like this because it's already a pre-smooth slab. You already know you have a defined thickness there, and you can very easily cut this down and bend this around a fairly complicated shape. Now, our first MothMan that we're going to do is, this is by my eldest child, and this is her nice stylized MothMan. And this cut down mixing cup fits this perfectly. Now, we do have a little bit of unused space, but that's okay. This is going to be such a shallow mold that's really not going to be a problem. And hot glue is ideal for securing molds like this. And hot glue is strong enough as long as you're dealing with a surface that's clean and free of any kind of oil or release agent. You get a very good seal between the hot glue and your mixing cup and, of course, the foam core board. And hot glue is not expensive, so it's a great way to secure your mold walls. And as long as we have an even bead with no breaks in it, we're good to go as far as it being watertight, so to speak. So we don't have to worry about the silicone creeping out. So we're going to let that sit and cool down, and then we'll be ready to pour our silicone after this is sprayed with mold release. Now, this is a MothMan sculpture by my lovely wife, And this one, it lends itself perfectly to that more irregular foam core board cutout. So again, we can bend this to exactly the shape that we need, and that, of course, cuts down on wasted product. Now, one of the things we want to take care to do is make sure we don't get too close to the sculpture here. And there's a couple places where I'm a little close, but I'm maintaining an overall distance of an average of about a ½ inch in where at all possible. If we get a little closer than that, not a problem, but we want to watch out if you get too close or even touch the piece, then you're going to have leaks in your mold later on. And again, you want to make sure when you're hot gluing your mold box shut that you look around for any gaps in coverage of glue, because any gap is going to result in a leak, which depending on what silicone you're using and what the working time is, you could easily wind up with all of your silicone leaking out and not making a nice mold. And I always like to come in to the inside of the mold and just clean up that inside where the foam core is glued to foam core. Just make sure everything is sealed up really nice. Now, with a foam core box like this, overall this is done, ready to go. But if you want to really refine this a little bit more, if you're making a much larger mold, sometimes as a little added bit of insurance, you can take some water-based clay and build up the outside. Now, I mainly do that if I'm dealing with a box that's fairly deep, so it has a lot of hydraulic pressure, and I just want to make sure I take any precaution possible to prevent leakage. Now, last but not least, we have the Protolina clay, which again, we're just going to use it pretty much in its raw form, just cutting this into strips. And then conforming that to the shape. And again, this is another way to get a much more accurate mold wall around our part and minimize how much wasted silicone we might have. If we had sometimes even with those foam core boxes, you can wind up wasting silicone. So this allows us again to come in really nice and tight here and minimize that wasted space. And because this is because this is clay and not foam core, it's real easy to get in there with your finger and just smash these joints together and create a seal. So nice quick way to make a mold containment or mold box. And one last step that we got to do is we got to work on this edge so we don't have that silicone seeping out at that joint down there where it meets the foam core board. So to address that, we're just going to take a popsicle stick and just smash that down. And again, we just have to take care, make sure that we go all the way around our part so we don't have any missed areas that might spring a leak later on. One of the saddest things is to come back a day later when you use a slow setting silicone and find that you've made a beautiful mold of the floor, but not your part. And even if you're working with really thick silicones, like the 5092 or some of those thicker tin-cure systems, some of those might seem like they're too thick to leak out of a mold box, but rest assured that they will leak. I'm just going to do one little run around the outside with that popsicle stick, seal that up really nice. And now we have our clay mold box done. And again, we just want to watch those edges. We want to make sure we don't push this up too close to our sculpture, because again, one of the sadder things to have happen there is have your mold box touch your piece, and then you wind up with a leak in that part of the mold, because now anytime that part communicates with the edge, you wind up with a leak that is very difficult to correct later on. Now, the other nice advantage to this is you have a reusable clay as your mold box. So real easy to reuse all of this again. If you're careful with release agent and everything, it's easy to strip all this off, clean it up, and use it again. Now, one last little bit of housekeeping we want to do here is just go inside the mold box and look for any areas on the inside that look like they're gaps where you might have a leak form. This is where you want to be careful not to touch your sculpture, but just carefully push down any of that clay against the board to stop any potential leaks. And you can also, again, use a popsicle stick or a dental spatula, but you just want to take care to eliminate any chance for leaks. Now, one last little step, of course, before we pour our silicone, we're going to spray these all with some mold release. And here we're using the Super Release PTR. This is an excellent release to keep silicone from sticking to any surface, especially more silicone. So anytime you're making a 1 or 2 piece mold with silicone, this is a great mold release. Okay, now we're ready to pour our silicone over our prepared models that are all hot glued to the base. And we just need about, for something, a small relief like this, I'm just going to pour this silicone about 1/4 inch over the model. Okay, so it's about 16 hours later, and our silicone has set up, and we're ready to take apart our mold walls. Now, I stuck my finger in there, but that was because I had already checked to see if it was cured. I always like to use a little drip or an area outside the mold box to check and make sure that it's completely cured before I start touching the mold, because heaven forbid something has inhibited the cure or slowed things down. This is a 10-cure formula silicone, so 10-cure formulas cure best in high humidity. So something to be aware of. If you're in a really humid area, you're going to get a faster cure. And with 10-cure, because they rely on that ambient humidity, if you're in a really dry climate like out in West Texas or Arizona, that's going to slow it down a little bit. It's not going to stop it from curing, but it will slow it way down. So to remove these walls, now this is the benefit to these types of inexpensive mold walls, is they're very easy to remove and low cost. So we don't have to worry about the cost of having to break this down. We're not using Lexan sheets or anything like that. That's expensive, and we can just rip this off, and it's very little expense. And there we have, look at that beautiful MothMan mold. And because we released that really good, this is one of a good case for a good application of release, because you see how we pulled that off and we have just a few little spots of clay that transferred to the mold. So very easy cleanup for that. That's one of the reasons I recommend mold release. Even though silicone will not technically stick or bond to any of these surfaces, it makes this cleanup and demold that much cleaner. And then we don't have to worry about having to scrub the mold down or clean it up before we go to casting. Now this one is going to be a little bit easier to demold just because we've got clay walls that can easily peel off. Now one minor little bit of housekeeping here, a little bit that's really important. This is going to have a little bit of residue of this 10-cure silicone on it. And that's really important to remember, because 10-cure silicone is like kryptonite for platinum cure silicone. So when you have a situation like this, it's best to keep this clay separate so that any residual tin catalyst that might be on this doesn't inhibit your platinum molds later on. So I always like to store this separate just so I don't have any worries about that. Now, Protolina clay is cheap, so worst case scenario, if you throw this out, no big deal. But since I like to save that, I like to just remove any of the big chunks and just recycle this and keep this in a bucket marked Tin Cure silicone. And again, that way we don't have any cross-contamination. Now this one, because we did have a little heavier texture, we had a little bit of transfer of that clay, but not bad. And last but not least, of course, we have our foam core board. And again, this is the nice thing about foam core board. You can easily just rip this off. And foam core board is cheap and readily available. It's much easier to cut foam core board than MDF or Lexan. And it holds up beautifully for mold making, and then it's easy to rip off. So there we go. And our last Mothman, and again, just it's only in those really detailed areas around his little Mothman eyes that we got some clay stuck in there. So we are now ready for casting. We're going to do a little bit of, I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup, pulling some of those clay chunks out, and then we'll be ready for casting, which we will do in a follow-up video. So there you have the process of simple mold walls using mixing cups or even just cheap mixing containers from the dollar store, or foam core board from an office supply shop, or the Protolina clay that is readily available. Just really important to remember, if you're using clay walls like that, oil-based clay is ideal. Water-based clay will dry out and crack, so that can create its own set of problems. So watch out for that. But just cheap oil-based clay is great so long as it is sulfur-free. Sulfur, again, is like kryptonite in your workshop, so watch out for it. Now, those of you who are new to this process, will be posting some follow-up videos where we cast some little Mothman out of resin, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, though, if you're new to our channel, be sure to check out the links in the video description. I'll put the links to all the products we used, as well as a link to our video library, and that's where we have all of our video content much better organized than on the YouTubes. And I'll put a link to our resin casting page, because that's a great resource to see a lot of different techniques for resin casting. And if you haven't already, be sure to click the little subscribe button and little bell icon so you get notified when we put out new content. And thanks again for watching.